outside the city of Columbus, where a lot of projects have taken place over the past year. And to talk about some of these accomplishments and steps that Columbus has taken, I sat down with Columbus Area Chamber President Casey Baylitz to take a look back at the city in 2015. A staple of the 2015 year in Columbus is the Quality of Life Centers projects that have been completed or are making progress towards completion throughout the year. Amongst these centers are the East Central District Health Department and the Columbus Community Hospital YMCA Health and Wellness Center, which were completed in February 2015 and fall of 2015, respectively. In addition, Columbus High School is in the middle of construction of a new building, and the new Public Library and Cultural Arts Center is in the private fundraising phase.
We've had a really good, 2 or 3 years in terms of either former residents or just people from, maybe somewhere else in Nebraska or somewhere else in the Midwest, making that decision to move here. I think you probably know what the hospital has done, recruiting doctors back, and other businesses have as well. We have a lot of, 30 to 40-year-olds, maybe young families who've moved back to Columbus. And those are really exciting things to see. Now, I don't think we've yet seen the impact of what's being done, what was done in 15, what will be done in 16 around those quality of life centers, because it's too early for that. But I do think now, some of them are built, others are under construction, others are planned. I think now when a prospective new resident comes to Columbus, they see those things, and it is going to impact their decision that this is the kind of community where they might want to raise that young family.
Amongst the expansion taking place in Columbus and the addition of businesses like Hobby Lobby, the city saw the departure of a big employer as well.
It's an unfortunate part of the business life cycle, of course, that sometimes businesses go, and that's what happens. And in the case of Apogee, that's what happened. I would tell you, however, that been as much good news as bad. We've seen a lot of expansions in local industries. BD has announced and completed an expansion in the last year. Obviously, Superior Industries has built onto their facility, side dumpers growing, on and on it goes. And so it's just the nature of things. And you're probably never going to have all good, you're probably never going to have all bad, and that's how it should be. You want that somewhere in the middle. And so while you do always, I think, have some disappointments along the way, and we had those, I think certainly in 2015, the good outweighed the bad. And I would think if you look objectively at the outlook for 16, I think it's much the same. We have a lot of potential to grow if we can find the people to help our local employers continue to do what they do.
In addition to the business expansion in the year to come, some much anticipated road expansion is taking place as well.
Well, I think if you look at 2016 from the perspective of infrastructure, and particularly transportation infrastructure, this is going to be a great year for Columbus. And I say that primarily for 2 reasons. Number one, construction will begin again on completing the Highway 30 Expressway between Schuyler and Fremont. And it'll start on the west side of that project, so that link between Schuyler and Rogers will be first and then go east from there. And we all know how long we've been waiting for that to happen. And so that's a long-term project that's finally going to come to fruition in 16. And the other very similar project from that perspective is the 3rd Avenue Viaduct that will also begin this year. Those are 2 projects we've waited a long time to get done, and to have them finally start, and to start the same year is fun. And they won't be the only ones. The Loop River Levee, just south of here. We'll see that. I don't even know what we call that, enhancement or reconstruction or whatever we call that. That'll finally get going after too many years of trying to get through the government approval process on that from the federal level. And the city's doing some other things infrastructure-wise. You're seeing obviously infrastructure built around the high school and wellness center and hospital on that quarter section up there. It's a great year ahead, I think, in 2016 from that perspective. I think the word momentum is real fitting. I think we do have some momentum in Columbus, and those projects that get built certainly drive that momentum. I think the other half of the story, though, is also, again, as we've talked about, those young families coming back. I think that also builds momentum, and maybe they talk to some friends somewhere else, and I think that also builds on itself. And we got to have both those things happen. It's a chicken and egg situation. You have to have the facilities to draw the families. You got to have the families to justify building the facilities. And so I think both those things have to happen, and I think we do have momentum around both of those issues coming off of what happened in 15 and the years prior, that I would think should make any of us pretty optimistic about 2016? I mean, are there economic headwinds that are being created by the national economy, by the global economy? Yeah, there are, and we know we're part of that global economy, and so will that have some impact? It may. You know, you just, I mean, those are things obviously we don't control. We don't control what happens with the Chinese economy. We don't control with what happens with OPEC. You know, we don't control those things. But I would think the things that we do have some control over locally, I think we ought to be pretty optimistic about.
I'm Columbus News Team's Grant Otten, News Channel Nebraska.